Okay, just so you know what I'm working with here as far as the fireplace dimensions go, this is your standard generic fireplace that we've had for almost 30 years. I'm just going to show you the dimensions so that you know what we're working with. And I don't think you're going to find a smaller fireplace than this in homes, but you might find a bigger one, which gives you more opportunity. Our fireplace measures depth-wise 16 inches, and that's from the front here. 16 inches deep, 22 inches wide from this corner to this corner, 30 inches wide from the front, from this corner to this corner, 18 inches high from the floor up to where the flue is, and that's with the flue closed. And then with the flue open, from the floor to the flue is 16 inches. So the flue comes down about 2 to 3 inches roughly. So those are the dimensions of the fireplace we use. Again, if you think your fireplace isn't big enough, chances are it probably is, but that's what we use and that's what we're going to cook on. So I just put our grate in here just to show you what it looks like with the grate in, and I'm going to show you two different methods for building a fire in your fireplace. They're both been very successful for me, and one is kind of old school, the other is the fire hot faster than the old traditional way. So the first method we're going to use is what I call old school. I'm going to put a number of logs on the bottom here, and then we're going to take paper towels. We're going to put a decent amount of oil in the paper on the paper towel. Let that absorb in, and we basically just created ourselves a torch. All right, so once it's all absorbed in, we're going to take this, we're going to place this in the back of the fireplace. Because when you start a fire in the fireplace, you've got to start it in the back so that the smoke doesn't come out the front, but rather it goes up. If you start it in the front, the updraft cannot work properly. So again, we start with the paper towels in the back, then we put our kindling on top. And what that paper towel is going to do, again, it's going to act like a torch. And by placing it in the back, we're going to open up the flue just a little bit so that that heat can create an updraft rather than opening it up all the way and taking on the risk of there being a downdraft and making the house all smoky and causing smoke alarms to go off. We're stacking the kindling up towards the back so that the fire goes up and traces that wood to create a great draft. Once we're at the point where we feel we've got a good amount of kindling in, we're going to then take our lighter and we're going to light the paper towel. And as soon as it kicks, we're going to open up the flue just a little bit so that once the paper towel catches, which as you can see it's catching, we want to make sure we see that those whiffs of smoke going up the back of the chimney. And there we go. Try to get a little better view, and if you can see, the smoke is actually going up the back. So we've created ourselves a nice draft. And that torch that we created is now kicking in. And then once that goes, it'll burn for a good 5 minutes like that before the paper towel even disintegrates. So we just let that go. And as the kindling catches, we just put on more wood. See that nice updraft? So you see here after a few minutes, we got a nice healthy fire going there. The kindling is catching, and we're just going to keep building on that. And eventually that kindling will fall down. Now we can open the flue all the way, create more of an updraft and a bigger fire. And if you ever noticed on your fireplace, these holes in the side, that's actually the air that is allowed to be drawn in to help feed the fire. All right, so that's the first way, and what we're going to do now is show you the second way that we do it. Okay, so the next way to start a fire in your fireplace is my favorite way. Once again, we're going to take our paper towels, about, I don't know, 7 or 8 sheets. We're going to put some, what we're using here is vegetable oil in there to create our torch. Make sure that's good and soaked up. And now, if you'll notice, the logs that we're using are now placed on the bottom. The reason for that is because we're going to be using a chimney starter for this one. So in the chimney starter, we're going to load this up with lump hardwood charcoal. And can't use anything else. Lump hardwood charcoal. When this lump hardwood charcoal kicks in, it is hot as blazes. Got our lump hardwood charcoal in there. Hopefully you can see that. Got our paper towel with our oil. We're going to place this once again in the back. And then we're going to take our chimney charcoal and we're going to place that in the back. What's going to happen is those coals are going to fall down as they burn and ignite the wood on the bottom. We got our flute open about halfway. Again, we watch to make sure that we have a draft that goes up the back and not in the house. So our chimney starter is going. Those coals are going to catch, and once they catch, it's going to get blistering hot. We're going to dump out the coals onto the wood, add some more coals, and we're going to be ready to rock and roll. As you can see, we got it cranking. So now we're going to take our heat-proof glove, take this very carefully, dump it down here. I'm going to take a few more of these and put them on. We're going to let that go for a little bit so we get ourselves a blistering fire. And then the next thing we're going to show you is how to check the temperature of said fire. So ultimately what we're going to do is we're going to put 2 logs in here, 1 on each side. Then we're going to put our grate on top to cook on. So I want to get the fire concentrated towards the center, basically where this log is here. All right, and just after a few minutes, we got a beautiful fire going. Come back and show you how to temp this. I'm going to show you a little trick that I use for my supports for the fireplace. I have a full pan, and we cut it in half. Trying not to cut your hand in the process. Very careful, very sharp, this lumen. And what we'll do is we'll place them like this, put our log in here, with the fire in between. That prevents the logs from burning, and it allows us to use the logs for support. All right, so as you can see, we got a great bed of coals. This is ultimately what you're looking for. If your fire is to this point and you're not ready to cook, you can just add a few more pieces of wood. You can add a few more lumps of hardwood charcoal just to kind of get it, keep it going, and keep that hot bed of coals. So what we're going to do is we're going to place this wood on each side. I'm just going to put this like this on this side and place it on this side here. Okay, and then there's going to be our cooking surface area. We're going to take our grate, place our grate in the center. You can see it's not perfect, but we're cooking in the fireplace. It's not going to be perfect. If you can take your hand and place it about a half a soda can above the grate for 3 to 4 seconds, we would call that a steak fire. That's about 400 to 450 degrees, maybe even a little bit. You know, if it's 3 seconds, it could even be, 500 degrees. If you can keep your hand there for anywhere from 5 to 6 seconds, you're maybe at like 350 to 400, and 7 to 8 seconds, you're maybe at like 300 degrees. So let's put our hand where we're going to be cooking and count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. See how long we can hold it there before we have to pull it away. Ready? 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Ooh, okay, that's hot. This fire is 500 degrees, roughly.
So in summary, to be able to judge the temperature of your cooking grate for cooking in the fireplace, you want to take your hand and hold it about 3 to 4 inches above the cooking grate. And you want to hold it there as long as you can until it is too hot to keep there. Count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, and depending on the number of seconds you can hold it there, that gives you a rough idea of the temperatures that you're dealing with. Now, when you're cooking on the fire, one of the most important temperatures is a steak cooking temperature. And when you hit 2 to 3 seconds or 3 to 4 seconds before pulling your hand away, that to me is the perfect temperature for a steak fire. Hope this helps. Enjoy and enjoy cooking in the fireplace. See you next time.